Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered here to issue today a call for a members' meeting to protect the right of suffrage in respect of the nominations and elections of the LSK male representative of the Judicial Service Commission as members of the LSK, and particularly so as members of the LSK who believe in propriety in the conduct of the affairs of the LSK. As you're all aware, the President of the Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Allen Gishuhi, by a letter dated 15th February 2019, purports to call for an LSK Council meeting on Monday, 18th February 2019. In his letter, addressed to the general membership of the LSK, he sets out the agenda of the meeting to be a call for Council to review the decision approving the nominees to vie for the position of the LSK male representative to the Judicial Service Commission. He sets out the reasons necessitating the meeting to be: 1. Calls, letters, and petitions from advocates and members of the public, including media articles, indicating that Council erred in its decision. And 2. He claims that the key issue of concern is the tax compliance certificates relating to Professor Tom Ojenda, and the late submission of nomination papers by one of the candidates are issues of concern under Chapter 6 of the Constitution and the Electoral Code of Conduct. This may appear so, but in actual fact, the sole intention is to lock out Professor Tom Ojenda. These developments, ladies and gentlemen, manifest a deliberate attempt by external forces to influence both the nomination and election in issue. As members of the society, we are concerned that the President can, on his own motion, without reference to the Council and in total disregard of the procedures set out under the LSK Act and regulation, arrogate to himself non-existent power of review. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not lost to members that the target in this exercise is Professor Tom Ojenda. It is appropriate to clarify that Professor Tom Ojenda holds 15 tax compliance certificates, the most recent one being the one which expired on the 13th of November 2018. Professor Ojenda does not have any real tax disputes with KRA. Instead, the dispute is contrived for the sole purpose of precluding him from running for the office. This is so because in a judgment made by the High Court on the 11th of May 2018, the entire illegal tax demand, totaling to about 700 million Kenyan shillings, was quashed and KRA prohibited from demanding that sum. A tax compliance certificate is not an indicator of integrity under Chapter 6 of the Constitution. This issue has been addressed with finality by the court in the case of Trusted Society for Human Rights Alliance and 3 others versus Judicial Service Commission and another. It was therefore out of abundant caution that Professor Ojenda sought remedy to be issued with a certificate or his nomination papers be accepted without the certificate. There was no legal compulsion under the Constitution, the LSK Act, and the Judicial Service Commission Act for his submission of a tax compliance certificate. However, what was a legitimate request has been turned into a game of musical chairs at the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, with the true actors behind the intended exclusion of Professor Ojenda now coming out in the open. As an incumbent in office, all that Professor Ojenda was required to do under Article 171(4) of the Constitution was to demonstrate his intention to rerun for the seat under re-election. He remained qualified by virtue of being an incumbent. It is therefore very inappropriate and unfortunate that the President of the Law Society of Kenya has succumbed to coercion or inducement from external forces to subvert the course of justice and to violate the members' right to suffrage. We will fail on our part as members if we were to allow the President to go ahead with that nefarious transgression. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed our right and duty under Section 16 of the LSK Act as the supreme authority to oversight and approve all resolutions and decisions of the society. This includes the decision of the Council made on 11 February 2019, which is now sought to be reviewed at the behest of the President. This is untenable. In light of these unfortunate developments, we call upon all members of the society, wheresoever domiciled in the Republic of Kenya, to turn up at the Supreme Court buildings on the 18th of February 2019 at 9 a.m. It is proposed that the membership will at this gathering approve the decision made by the Council on the 11th of February 2019 and censure the President in his attempt to subvert the course of justice, the rule of law, and to interfere with the will of the members as expressed through their elected representatives in the Council. Ladies and gentlemen, let the society serve the interests of members of the public and its own members in tandem with the obligations imposed upon it by the Act. This statement is dated 15th of February 2019 and is signed on behalf of all members of the LSK by myself, Odongo Brian, Mr. Nelson Harvey and I, Mr. Javier Munzala, Ms. Valen Omari, Ms. Teresia Wavinya, Ms. Christine Boke, Mr. Maura Kabata, and Mr. Alakonya Zakayo. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I trust I will be able to see you on the 18th of February 2019 at the Supreme Court building so that you can agitate for that which we truly believe in. Asanteni sana.